I'm David Rams, welcome back to another 5 Minute Friday. As always, I'm covering some big topics this week, so don't miss this Sunday's live stream where we're going to go into these topics in much more detail, and I have more topics to share with you. But for today's video, we're aiming for 5 minutes, so let's kick off with the first story. I'm just going to say it. I kind of hate World Vegan Day. Wait, hate is a pretty strong word. Did I put that in the title? Well, I did. Alright, I strongly dislike World Vegan Day. But why? How could any vegan possibly say that? Call me a pessimist. Call me a negative Nancy. Call me an asshole. And you wouldn't be the first one to call me that. But every year this day comes around, and every year I'm left thinking, what the are we celebrating? And this year, apparently it's World Vegan Month? What the are we celebrating for an entire month? Imagine an event where people are celebrating worldwide, they're all celebrating together because they've decided to not purchase products that came from slavery. But all of this is happening whilst slavery is still continuing, and not only continuing, it is the norm, it is accepted by most people, and the slave traders and slave owners are still profiting and making literally billions of dollars from the trade. That's what we're doing when we're celebrating World Vegan Day or World Vegan Month, but instead of it being human slaves, it's non-human slaves. We're still doing this to the animals. Not to mention the entire focus is on food. Don't get me wrong, I love a vegan burger or a vegan pizza, or both, just as much as the next person. But I don't need a worldwide celebration for that. What also pisses me off is the kind of messaging that comes along with this day every year. It feels like a gimmick, like Valentine's Day or Halloween or something. Try to stave off meat for a day on Sunday when vegans around the world celebrate their lifestyle and replace your usual comfort foods with these meatless treats while giving Mother Earth a break. From pizzas to fruit burgers and even fishless fish and chips, see if any of these options suit your fancy. Yeah, that's the messaging of a strong ethical stance, right? And check out this headline from Live Kindly of all places. It's World Vegan Month, and it's okay if you're not a perfect vegan. Here's a few quotes from this groundbreaking article. If you really can cut out animal products except for just one or two things, absolutely do it. That's awesome. And I hope you enjoyed trying out all of the options that the vegan aisle now has to offer. Another really strong ethical message from Live Kindly. Yes, thanks guys. Remember not to get caught up on being perfect if you're cutting animal products out of your diet. Take things one step at a time. I hope you find things that you like. Yes, because finding things that you like is definitely more important than rejecting animal abuse. Thanks to Live Kindly, really setting the standard for what it means to be a vegan. A worldwide celebration of veganism would suggest that we have achieved something that is worthy of a worldwide celebration. In my opinion, we haven't done that yet, and we're pretty far away from that. But hey, if you think you can change my mind on this, let me know in the comments. Let's hear what you have to say. Now to the next story, where a relationship coach who runs a Facebook group asking people about relationships has asked the question, would you date a vegan or someone who doesn't drink? Yeah, as if those two are even comparable in any way. But anyway, some of these responses are f***ing funny, and I've picked the best ones to share with you. I would date a non-drinker, as there's nothing worse than a boozer, but a vegan? No. My Italian background of food loving would make it impossible. Where do people get this idea that being vegan means that you can't eat food? You can still eat food, you just don't abuse animals to get it. I dated a vegan, never again. It was way too hard. She even asked the chef to prove that he was using separate cooking utensils to prepare her meal, and then brought over a type of vegan wine. Still seeking therapy. Oh, it must have been so hard for you to sit there whilst the person you were dating made sure that her meal wasn't contaminated with the bodies of tortured animals. Fuck, what a tough life that must have been for the time you were dating this person, you poor guy. Note to vegan, I think there's a level of intimacy I would miss not being able to mutually share what we love, because nothing says intimacy and love like stuffing your faces with the bodies of tortured dead animals. I would like to say what you put in your body is your choice, and you'll reap the rewards, be it good or bad. For me, I would like to be with someone who doesn't overindulge in drink or eating. If he is a vegan, more meat and eggs for me. That comment went from something so nice and seemingly rational to a complete troll comment. How can you go from saying you reap the benefits of what goes into your body and not indulging in drink or eating to then saying more meat and eggs for me? The good thing is I'm sure none of you vegans out there would want to date any of these idiots anyway. The next story comes from the deep, dark underbelly of animal agriculture. I actually had to register with an animal agriculture website to get access to this video that I'm about to show you. It's a video interview with the Vice President of Communications of the Animal Agriculture Alliance, Hannah Thompson-Weeman. And the title of this video is How Retailers Can React to Animal Activist Pressure. Let's take a look at Hannah's totally unbiased and logical advice to retailers retailers who are receiving pressure from animal rights activists.
Animal rights activist groups have been very aggressively targeting restaurant, retail, and food service brands for quite some time, and the pandemic has certainly not stopped or slowed down that tactic. We've heard from several brands over the past few weeks about pressure campaigns they're receiving from certain groups.
Great work to all of you activists out there putting that pressure on. Thank you so much for putting all this effort in and getting so much pressure on these companies that it's getting back to animal ag, and they're complaining about it in interviews, in videos.
For these activist organizations, they see pushing restaurant, retail, and food service brands to adopt certain policies for their supply chain as a way to drive up costs and reduce efficiencies in animal agriculture. It's really not about animal welfare for them. It's a long-term incremental change strategy, again, to drive up costs and force consumers to make difficult choices about what of our products they can afford.
She's right in that this is a strategy to end animal agriculture. But to say it has nothing to do with improving the welfare of the animals, to say that these activists don't care about the welfare of the animals is just stupid. No cage is the goal, but given a choice between a bigger cage and more restrictions and a smaller cage and less restrictions, I'm going to go ahead and assume that almost every single vegan out there and animal rights activist out there would elect to choose the bigger cage with more restrictions. Not only because it costs these industries a ton of money, but also because it does improve the welfare for those animals and gives them a slightly increased quality of life before they have their throat slit by these industries. But just to reiterate, even a vast improvement on their quality of life doesn't justify them going to the slaughterhouses and having their throats slit.
For restaurant and retail brands, we really recommend being proactive in your animal welfare decision making and really make sure you're including expert voices. So researchers, farmers themselves, a lot of folks in the poultry and animal ag industries have a lot of expertise in animal welfare and animal behavior and can help you make decisions that are based on science and outcomes and not based on pressure from groups who have an ulterior motive at the end of the day and don't speak for your end consumer.
Don't listen to those pesky activists. They don't want the best for the animals. Listen to us. We're the ones taking advantage of the animals' inferior intellect to use them and then slit their throats so we can make money from their bodies. We're the ones that know what's best for them.
So we recommend being proactive and making your own decisions about what's best for your brand and your customers without letting those groups influence you.
And what she's done here is actually helped the activists. You see, like it or not, Hannah, people are becoming more ethical day by day. They're waking up to your bullshit and they're demanding more and more ethical and sustainable options every day. How do you think the public will react when they find out a retailer was shown horrific animal cruelty and in fact they did nothing about it? They didn't act on the information that was given to them in any way. Your advice to do what's best for the brand and the consumers means for the brand to actually listen to the activists.
If you do receive messages, emails, social media, petitions, any of those types of tactics from activist groups, the best response is no response. Once you respond to them, it's like a pushy salesperson. They know they have someone reading and they're just going to amp up the pressure.
Can you smell that? Can you smell the desperation? Because the professional way to respond to new information exposing your suppliers for cruel and disgusting practices is to completely ignore the information. Great advice, Hannah. It's almost like animal agriculture doesn't want retailers to pay attention to where their products come from. It's almost like they're trying to hide the horrors of the industry by controlling the flow of information and trying to paint all other information as false and untrustworthy so they can keep profiting from abusing animals. No, never.
So unfortunately, there's no room for common ground with groups that don't believe that animal agriculture should exist. And unless you are interested in converting to a vegan operation, there's really nothing to be gained by working with those types of organizations.
This is a really clever tactic. So first of all, round of applause for Hannah. You've obviously done a bit of research into the psychology of manipulation. You've definitely prepared really well for this video. Most non-vegan retailers will immediately switch off at the idea of converting their entire business to a vegan business business. It seems too big, it seems too challenging, and right now, most of these people are not in a place where they want to do it anyway. But what Hannah knows and what she's trying to avoid here is that when these retailers start to listen to activists, they start to make more ethical choices and more decisions based on animal welfare and animal rights, which leads them to becoming more empathetic to the animals, which is how vegan businesses are born from non-vegan businesses. Her choice of words in this video is not accidental. She's speaking with clear aims and clear manipulative wording.
So again, focus your efforts on the people and the customers that really matter and support your business, and make sure you're appealing to them and their values.
And she finishes with some buzzwords that are basically a standard mantra for all businesses to make herself look really credible, but she's failed to account for something very important here. Businesses and consumers grow. And if they don't grow together, the business gets left behind. Consumers are changing, businesses need to change with them. Her advice to ignore activists is kind of like telling DVD companies to ignore emails from Netflix years ago when Netflix first started. Focus on your customers. They love DVDs. They don't want some weird online thing. Just listen to us, the DVD industry. We know what's best for you. We know what's best for your brand and your customers. We've got our experts and our researchers, and they all say DVD is the way. Consumers are becoming more ethical, and now more than ever, activists have the tools to expose the disgusting practices of animal ag and get it out to millions of people. Retailers need to listen, or they'll be left behind with all the DVD companies. Whilst the companies that become more ethical and go vegan will move into the future, just like Netflix did. On to a happy story, and almost 200 dogs have been rescued from a dog meat farm in South Korea. They've now landed in the USA and are going to be adopted and going to be taken into homes. It's a beautiful story, and I hope those dogs have amazing lives. Don't forget to join me this Sunday for our weekly live stream where we're going to go through these topics and even more topics that I couldn't fit in today's video, and trust me, there's some really good ones that you're not going to want to miss. That's this Sunday, and the link is in the description. Click it and set a reminder right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on Sunday.